Chapter 21 of How to Read Literature Like a Professor, Marked for Greatness. So in this chapter, Foster addresses characters that have like physical deformalities or even psychological or spiritual deformalities. And so at first he starts off with like Frankenstein, kind of things like that. And his first main kind of heavy hitting uh, example is scoliosis in King Richard III, and kind of how his scoliosis represents him as a person, as a twisted and warped person. And so when we think about it, physical imperfections of characters, it's usually symbolic, and it can kind of represent a character's damaged life. One example he gives of is in the book Beloved, and how some of the characters, due to slavery, have scars on their back and kind of things like that, and so the scars represent their past in a way. Another reason could be character differentiation. It just sets the characters apart. Another example he gives of this is like soldiers. When they came back, they were different than the normal people or than civilians because they had this psychological trauma to them. He goes once again into the Frankenstein monster example, and kind of into that he talks about how it wasn't the monster that was scary, it was the idea of a monster that was scary. And so his closing point for the chapter is a character, if a character's marked or changed or has a physical deformality or is different in any way from normal, it usually has a point the author likes to make. An example he gives of this, maybe the character wounds his foot in chapter 2, so that way in chapter 24 he can't make a jump or something. So think about in the future, or think about why the author would put in a physical thing, because it's really easy to put in normal people. That's chapter 21, Marked for Greatness.